Ever get that feeling? You know, like some clients are just, well, resistant to the whole idea of hypnosis.
Oh, absolutely. Like they've got their shields up before you even begin.
Yeah, like, nope, not happening
Yeah.
before you even start. Well, today we're unlocking that mystery, a deep dive into resistance in hypnotherapy.
Fascinating stuff, really.
And we were lucky enough to get a glimpse into this training session for hypnotherapists. And let me tell you, they flipped the script on dealing with those clients who seem determined to resist.
It's funny, we often see resistance as like the big bad, the therapist's worst nightmare.
Right.
But this training, it's saying we've got it all wrong. Don't fear resistance, they're saying. Embrace it.
Oh, interesting. So how do they say we should approach it?
It's a gold mine, they say.
Hmm.
A roadmap. Resistance tells you what's really going on with a client.
So it's less about fixing resistance and more about using it as a tool.
Absolutely.
That is fascinating. How do we even spot it, though? What are the signs?
Well, one big red flag is, believe it or not, when you don't see those classic unconscious cues.
Huh?
Like rapid eye blinks, shifts in breathing.
Huh, okay.
It might sound counterintuitive, but those little signs can actually mean they're engaged. If they're absent, your client might be mentally checked out or just trying to play along.
So they're putting on a good show, but not truly present. I've definitely encountered that, and it can be so frustrating.
Absolutely. And that's when we therapists, we try to teach our way out of it.
Mhm.
Logic, evidence, all that.
Right, right.
But the training actually advises against this.
Right.
Yeah, when a client is in that resistant state, their analytical mind is going a mile a minute. Logic and explanations, they just don't land.
Like trying to reason with a brick wall.
Exactly.
So if logic is out, then what? How do we break through?
Well, instead of battling head on, they encourage us to meet it with empathy. Validate.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Imagine a client says, look, I've tried this hypnosis thing before, it didn't work. Made things worse, actually. Instead of glossing over that, you lean in.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Say something like, that sounds incredibly frustrating. Tell me more about what happened.
Acknowledge their experience. Don't get defensive.
Yeah.
Create that safe space.
Exactly. Because often resistance, it comes from fear, you see. Past experiences, deeply held beliefs. It's like a suit of armor. Yes. And by approaching it with empathy, with curiosity, we can start to, chip away at those defenses.
This whole idea of resistance as self-protection is fascinating. Any examples from the training that illustrate this?
They use this great analogy, actually. The grumpy old man, the one who yells at kids to get off his lawn.
Ah, yes. Classic.
On the surface, just being cantankerous. But underneath that, there's often a lifetime of experiences. Maybe he was bullied as a kid. Maybe he's just lonely but doesn't know how to ask for connection,
So just like we wouldn't take that old man's grumpiness personally,
Exactly.
we shouldn't take a client's resistance personally either.
Right. It's a cry for help. It's not about us. It's a signal that something deeper needs to be addressed. And that's where our skills as hypnotherapists really come in.
Okay, so we're not taking it personally. We're approaching it with empathy and curiosity. Big mindset shift already. But what about those vague responses? I don't know, it's just too hard.
Oh, I know those all too well. And that's where mirroring comes in, they say. But not mimicking their words, see?
Oh, okay. So not like we're mocking them.
No, not at all. It's reflecting the resistance back in a way that, well, encourages introspection, deeper understanding.
I'm really curious about this mirroring. Got an example?
Sure. Let's say a client says, I don't know, hypnosis just seems really hard. Instead of letting that slide, you could say, I hear you saying it feel hard. What is it about this that feels so difficult for you?
Ah, okay. So we're validating their feelings without judgment, but we're also prompting them to go a little bit deeper.
Precisely. It's like holding up a mirror and saying, let's take a closer look at this together.
I love that. Simple but powerful. Okay, so we've got identifying resistance, approaching with empathy, mirroring. What other gems did this training offer?
Well, there's this one technique, it really stuck with me. And it's all about asking a very simple but powerful question. Why are you here?
Ooh, that's a loaded question. I can see how that could easily be misinterpreted.
Exactly. It's all in the delivery. No accusations, no confrontation. It's genuine curiosity.
So it's less about why are you giving me a hard time and more about what brought you to this point? What are you hoping to achieve?
Exactly. And you'd be amazed at how often that simple question, it unlocks these incredible insights, these breakthroughs. They gave this powerful example in the training. So picture this. You've got a client who's tried to lose weight, everything. Skeptical of hypnosis, yet here they are, sitting in your office. That's when you ask, If you're so convinced it'll be hard, why bother? Why are you here?
It seems so simple, but I bet it really gets them thinking, what kind of responses did they get in the training?
Well, in this scenario, the client finally admits, well, if I don't lose weight, my wife is going to leave me.
Wow, okay. Heavy stuff. So suddenly it's not about weight loss in the abstract anymore. It's about this very real fear of losing a loved one.
Exactly. And that's where the real work can begin. Now you're addressing the underlying emotions, the real motivations.
It's like that question, why are you here? Just blast it through a wall.
Right. And here's another thing. Sometimes clients don't even realize they're being resistant. It's not always intentional, like you're plotting to make your life difficult.
More like they're operating from these ingrained patterns, beliefs.
Exactly. And those often stem from past experiences, like that grumpy old man. Maybe they've been let down before, or they've learned to, well, protect themselves by expecting the worst.
Makes you realize resistance isn't the enemy, it's a symptom. Something deeper.
You got it. And that's why compassion is so important. For our clients, but for ourselves too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Dealing with resistance, it can be draining, even for the most seasoned hypnotherapist.
No doubt. It's easy to get caught up in the frustration, especially when you know you can help, but they seem determined to resist. How do we deal with that? How do we stay grounded?
The training had a surprising piece of advice, actually. Don't forget the humor.
Okay, gotta admit, that's not the first thing I think of when it comes to resistance. But I'm intrigued. How does humor help?
A well-timed joke, a playful remark, it can totally shift the energy. Laughter is disarming, releases tension, creates more collaborative atmosphere. And when a client feels safe, at ease, they're more likely to open up, engage with the process.
Building rapport through laughter, like suddenly you're not on opposite sides anymore, just two humans sharing a moment.
Exactly. And that connection, that human connection, it's essential, wouldn't you say, for a successful therapeutic relationship.
Absolutely. And this deep dive outline also mentioned the client's responsibility in this whole dance, which I thought was really interesting.
It's a good point. And it often gets overlooked. It's on us as therapists to create a safe space. But clients, they have a part to play too if they want to get the most out of it.
Takes two to tango, right? But how can clients even begin to understand their own resistance? It's such a tricky concept, especially if they're not even aware they're doing it.
Self-awareness is key, they said. Encourage clients to view resistance not as this enemy, but as an opportunity for growth, for self-discovery.
Powerful. So it's not a weakness, it's a messenger.
Right. And the more they can approach it with curiosity, with compassion for themselves, the more likely they are to uncover those beliefs, those fears that are driving their behavior. It's about learning to listen, not trying to silence the resistance.
So instead of, I should be over this by now, it's, okay, resistance, what are you trying to tell me?
Yes. It's about empowering them to be active participants, to recognize, hey, they have the strength, the wisdom to navigate this.
This has been so insightful. But we've just scratched the surface of the client's role, haven't we?
We have. In the final part of our deep dive, we're going to explore some practical strategies clients can use. Transform those obstacles into stepping stones.
So we've explored how therapists deal with resistance, but what can our listeners do when their clients get stuck there?
It's easy to feel like resistance is, I don't know, this external force, like it's being done to us. But this training, it suggests that's a bit of a trap.
Yeah, it's that feeling of, ooh, here we go again. Like resistance has a mind of its own.
Right. And feeling powerless just makes it stronger, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If we don't feel in control, why bother trying?
Totally. So how do we help clients shift that?
Self-compassion. Yeah. First and foremost. We have to remind them, look, resistance is normal, especially with deep-seated habits or beliefs.
Yeah. Instead of, I should be over this, it's acknowledging that, hey, change is hard, and it's okay to not be okay.
Exactly. What if instead of judgment, they got curious? Like, what's this resistance trying to tell me? Is there a fear here, a need that's not being met?
Like, resistance is a messenger, but we're too busy trying to silence it.
Love that. And once they're listening with curiosity, they can work with it, not against it.
Dialogue instead of battle.
Exactly. Imagine a client terrified of public speaking. They know it'll help their career, but the resistance says, nope, you'll embarrass yourself.
Makes sense.
But if they get curious about that resistance, maybe they uncover a deeper fear of judgment, maybe a bad experience from the past.
And once those fears are out in the open, you can start dealing with them.
Absolutely. That fear might go all the way back to childhood or a limiting belief they've outgrown. And that awareness, that's where real change can happen.
It's wild how our own minds can trip us up like that,
Hmm.
but approach it with curiosity, with compassion, and those roadblocks, they can become stepping stones.
Beautifully said.
Hmm.
It's about recognizing, hey, we are not our resistance. It's just part of the journey.
This deep dive has been incredible. We've gone from identifying resistance to actually using it for growth. Any parting words for our listeners?
Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, resistance is part of the deal.
Hmm.
It's what makes this work so challenging, so rewarding. But approach it with curiosity, with empathy, and hey, a little humor never hurts.
Right. A little lightness.
Exactly. That's how we unlock those breakthroughs for ourselves and our clients.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into resistance. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep embracing the power of the mind.